Yo, the kids official sliding on the instrumental. Nordic combos, twist your mental like forbidden.
Peace to the public and power to the people. Words cannot do justice to how good it feels to be in this building today for the 100th time.
Oh my goodness. 100.
Not a lot of things can you do 100 times and still be excited about, but one that we're still grateful for and appreciative of is to come to the space where the vulnerable are powerful.
That church.
And where the most gangster thing you can do is serve. This is All the Way Live, episode 100.
Episode 100, like my brother said. It is kind of crazy that after putting in near 2 years of consistency and working on this thing, the 100th episode feels like the most exciting one. You know what I mean? Something about today. I know I'm very excited to be in this spot. I needed this spot a lot too. And that's what we do for y'all every single week. What we do is we give you carefully curated content for your cranium, where art meets impact, where information meets initiative. That's what we do. And we curate, better yet, a space where people can come through and feel loved,
Feel seen.
feel appreciated.
Appreciate you, dog.
I appreciate you too. And you know what else we appreciate? We appreciate y'all and our producer Hassan.
Big facts.
And our producer Hassan, man. And we do the show for many reasons, but more than anything, we do the show because we know that depression is through the roof. We know anxiety is through the roof. We know suicide is through the roof. And we know that unemployment is through the roof, especially now in the time of Thanksgiving. A lot of people might be celebrating, but this is also a very triggering time for people. So we do it for that reason more than anything, man. So welcome to the show, 100th episode. So happy to be here, my brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we happy you here. You know what I'm saying? We're happy that S.A. Johannesburg is in the building as it is weekly. Thank you for bringing that energy, that history, that culture, that space, that perspective. Shout out to our boy Hassan, man. The UK is in the building, man, holding it down, making sure that this thing comes through crispy, that it comes through as a high quality audio and visual experience to all of y'all on our various channels. You know what I'm saying?
Couldn't do without him.
But you know what time it is, man. You know how this show is done. You know it's very integral and important to this show. This show is recorded on stolen land. This city that I belong to, that I love, was cared for by the Potawatomi people, the Council of the Three Fires. And the violence done to remove those First Nations people from this land is inseparable from the violence that we see in this city today, in this country today, in this world today. This land acknowledgement is something that we incorporated into the intro of the show to show appreciation for this space, to show appreciation for that history, to lift up love for Indigenous people the world over, to lift up love between Black and Brown people the world over, to continue to make sure that that's lifted up in everything we do, and to let y'all know, and for a way for y'all to know that the intro is over. Let's get into the show.
Yeah, I get that, but is we live though? Is we like all the way live though? You heard?
So, Brother Miles Xavier, we like to say that this particular show is where art meets impact. We usually spotlight either artists that are doing some very dope work, usually within their communities, and then also people who care about helping. And I am an activist. You are a community organizer. Our brother Hassan over there is an advocate. And so what we wanted to do today for the Impact Spotlight is to highlight Giving Tuesdays. So what is Giving Tuesdays?
Giving Tuesday is exactly what it sounds like. It's a day to give. It's a reminder to be humble and grateful and to take part of the holiday season, the season that I love, the season that is about giving and coming together in community and family, and to kind of make giving a more regular part of our lives and a part of the season as well. So believe it or not, Giving Tuesday has been going on for 10 years now. 2022 is actually the 10th anniversary. It started in 2012, and it's just kind of snowballed since then. So as a show that loves to, put an emphasis on impact and highlight good work that's going on, Shout out to Casanova. You know what I'm saying? Hip hop artist. He's actually hold your head, Cass. He's actually behind bars, but was still able to contribute to a turkey drive that's actually specifically designed to help folks and families who have been affected by incarceration, the system of mass incarceration. So folks with individuals and their families that are currently behind bars. His organization helped put some of that together.
Nice.
I saw Diddy out kind of giving away turkeys and doing that whole thing. So it's a season of giving, and right in line with that, Mandula will be putting out, a little bit of information on some of the stuff that our foundation, the Mandula Foundation, has been working on. So you'll have an opportunity to see what we've been doing, and if you're willing to give to us, we would always appreciate that. But check out some of the other places that we've spotlighted on this show, right? You could always give to Make a Girl.
Let's run through, because we've helped so many people. Let me not say we've helped. We've been fortunate to be invited to help a lot of people that we like to work with. So we got a whole list of people. Make a Girl, like you said. I recall when we're during Ukraine, when the Ukraine war happened, and there was a mission to be able to move the African students and brown students from there out. I believe it was Ukraine. Well, do you remember the name of the?
I don't remember the exact name of the organization, but you're so right to be highlighting a lot of the things that we've touched on have been for responding to crises in the moment. And a lot of those crises are ongoing, right? Just because they slip out of the news rotation. Flooding in KZN, people still need support in that respect. The droughts that we saw, where were the droughts at? Somalia.
In Somalia.
Yeah, Somalia. There were droughts in Somalia. There was flooding in Pakistan. So much going on.
It's actually been a lot, and one of the things that I'm realizing is helpful for me is that when there's so much that's happening, a lot of the times I feel like we can be very taken aback by it, and we can almost drown in all the information, and a bit of you feels like there's nothing I can do, and then a bit of you feels like I'm not doing enough. But just finding something to try and help towards helps alleviate that feeling, because there's a lot happening.
Yeah, no doubt. And so hopefully some of the spotlights we've done can help people parse through a little bit of that information. A couple of other organizations, Footprint Positive, carbon offsetting, right, for your vehicle emissions. Good Kids Mad City, a youth organization here in Chicago, doing incredible work around organizing and community support. Firebird Community Arts, ceramics and glass blowing to support survivors of violence. And those are all places that you should check out, get involved, volunteer, donate if you can. But on the flip side of that, right, Giving Tuesday is about acts of service in any capacity. So taking the time to make someone smile, right? Taking the time to help out a neighbor or a stranger. All of those are super valid ways to contribute. And Giving Tuesday is just a reminder to get in tune with that, to get involved, right?
I'd love to see a time when we get as excited about Black Fridays and some Cyber Mondays as we are about Giving Tuesday. Like, we can get to a point where it's just like a whole week of celebrating family, being together, but then also making it exciting to be able to help, which is why we do this podcast here, the show here, for 100 episodes. Kind of the journey of it, I feel like at the beginning it was difficult for us to figure out what this was going to be about. It took a good 30, 40, 50 episodes and trying again and again to find an angle. But once we decided that this is the show that's going to be about helping people, spotlighting, providing information, that's when the direction really started coming together.
No doubt. And it's formed some dope relationships, right? Like, shout out to Goody Room.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Some of those gents that you got to connect with while in the UK.
My Goody Room peeps.
We hitting you up soon, Afro Rack. You know what I'm saying? So, like, yeah, 100 episodes in, there's a lot of names we can drop, and it's cool that it's not gross name dropping. It's names of people and organizations that are really doing firework.
Yeah. So as we go from episode 100 to, inshallah, episode 200 and 2000, we're more motivated than ever to work with more people. We are active in Chicago, active in the UK, active in South Africa, and that doesn't have to be on the professional sense of, you have to have a foundation, anything like that. Not even. I think helping is so much more simple than that. It's so much more simple. It's even finding out, what can I do? and share that information, man. We'd love to keep doing that. That's what brings us joy.
Yes, sir. Radical generosity.
I didn't. Did you come up with that term?
And radically accessible generosity. Nah, man, that's it's part of the whole Giving Tuesday spiel, but I think it applies very much right here. I'm gonna alter it: radically accessible generosity, radically accessible service, and we hope that y'all feel that we are radically accessible to y'all.
Definitely we are. And how we make ourselves accessible is by making sure that we come here every week. 100 weeks. It's been 2 years.
100 weeks sounds crazy. 100 weeks.
100 weeks does sound a bit wild. It's been 2 years. 2 years with almost a little time off from that. And we keep bringing them this content.
Big facts, and it's growing. You know, and I think we're growing in it, getting better at communicating, delivering this information, getting better at giving them what they want. If y'all haven't checked out the listening session, get on that. You know what I'm saying? We perfecting it still. We working through the bugs, but the content that we're putting together and around our favorite music and around one of the most celebrated aspects of the show, it's pretty tight.
And we can't go nowhere without thanking the people that have been our day one fan, not day one family throughout this whole thing, man. There's so many people that, we have to thank, because if it wasn't for just that one little message of saying, hey, I look forward to watching the show, or hey, when is it on? Hey, send me the link, man. Sometimes like that one message is so much to just like drive you through to be able to do it, man. And like, I feel so blessed to be able to share that.
Oh man, I've been waiting 100 episodes for this. It's shout out time. Yo, shout out Lon, you know what I'm saying? Shout out Lil, you know what I'm saying? Shout out Momzo, checking us out.
Momzo.
Where's the Celestial? You know what I'm saying? We out here,
Yeah, shout out Chills, you know what I'm saying? Shout out Do, my boy, Do the CEO, youngest coming up in South Africa. Obviously, Khumlimo, Wami, cooler than black emojis, man. Like, so many. You have no idea how a small word of encouragement goes towards someone's day, man. And I'm gonna be excited to try and be that for somebody else too, who I appreciate. Just like, hey man, I like your stuff. Keep doing it.
You're that for me, my guy.
You're that for me too. Yo, Hassan, you're in this handshake, brother. Yeah, let's not waste no more time with it, man. We got so much to talk about. Without further ado, let's take it.
Man, I love this time of year.
Word.
It's a magical time of year. And I think maybe I lean into that spirit to help deal with the cold. You know what I'm saying? As a Chicagoan, you got to have little tricks how you get through this winter. I think mine is to fully embrace all the positive, the opportunity for positivity that there is around the holidays. I appreciate you for acknowledging, that it's not all happy and, sweets and gifts for everybody. For folks, it's a time of reflection, a time of battling loneliness and sadness. So it is a mixed bag, but as a time that I deeply appreciate, and just coming off of Thanksgiving, I just wanted to ease us on into the holiday times. You know what I'm saying, and also get some perspective from you. I know that you just spent Thanksgiving with my family. It was low key, it was chill. But I know that y'all didn't have a lot of those same traditions growing up. So what's it like to be in the States around this time? And what was it like to just it's not your first Thanksgiving. You're loved internationally. So, but what are the holidays from that perspective? What do the holidays mean to you?
What I've realized, and what's always been a bit difficult about U.S. holidays, is either you are offended by how much of a consumerism is attached to it. And I think that is true in general, is that there's a big push for spending that happens at the time. But I also am realizing that a lot of people are really starting to try and exercise appreciation of their families, be around each other. I just spent Thanksgiving with your family, and then I was blessed to be with my other family in Geneva, the Decos, who, it was such a great time to come together, and also getting different words from some of my other friends who aren't at home, or maybe aren't even American, but are saying, hey, we're doing a Friendsgiving, hey, we're doing whatever. So it's really cool to see the stigma of a holiday like Thanksgiving. I think we've all kind of collectively said, look, we don't agree with what it stems from, but we appreciate the value of us coming together. Let's celebrate as a family,
Yeah.
which I think is cool.
I feel that, and I appreciate that room for the criticism of the capitalism aspect of it, of the historical roots of it, but that spirit of taking it, the good things from it, and the making it your own. So with the exposure that you've had to the extremes, I think of holiday celebration that America offers, are there any like traditions or like as you think about your family in the future that you would want to incorporate?
Definitely most. I like how you do Christmas. I think you go all the way in for Christmas. Unbeknownst to them is that you came out in a full Santa suit, beard and all.
Close enough.
Beard and all. We had to talk you out of it. You know, it was a bit tense before we hit play.
Climate change is killing Santa, y'all. My brother saw me over here sweating, dying in my Christmas attire, and he was like, "Fam, go ahead and get cozy. Go ahead and get on out of that, champ."
Climate change is killing Santa. That should have been the name of this episode.
Hey, dog.
Climate change has killed Santa. But that's, I think how about this, man? I don't think as people we're getting together enough to celebrate life, family, whatever. I don't think we exercise that enough. And it's interesting because there's a book, Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell. He speaks about a community in Italy that has the longest lifespan, and they looked into this community and they were wondering, is it health? Turns out no, there's not many gyms there actually, and a lot of those people drink and smoke cigarettes. They drink wine and smoke cigarettes, but they live into their hundreds. It's the highest collection of centennials.
Dang.
You feel me?
I'm taking context clues and figure out what that word means. I don't think I've ever heard it before, but I like it.
I don't think I pronounced it properly either, but you get the gist of it, right? Where the most amount of people that have lived over 100 years. And they live in the city in Italy. And they're like, okay, cool. Maybe it's the diet. No, they eat pasta, cheese, and wine every day. It's like, okay, what's
My type of people.
that's why I'm telling you this. I think you're Italian.
Oh, let's not start claiming past heritages now.
So yeah, they looked even further, and what it turns out this particular community did different was the families usually lived in proximity of each other. They had a higher level of getting together, eating meals together. Most of the families ate meals together. A lot of the families didn't move away from the household. So if you want to live long, drink wine, eat pasta, and hang out with your folks.
Cool.
I think we might live forever.
Hey, bro. No, but I like that idea of family connection being an important component of health. You know what I mean?
Literally.
Yeah, right. So I think you're absolutely right to say like we're not gathering enough to celebrate. A lot of times, unfortunately, especially over the past couple of years, we've been encouraged to get together because somebody's sick or somebody passed away. And like just the sentiment of not waiting for funerals to be brought together and to see your family. We're going into this like age now, I think, where we are, as a kid, right, you're kind of shuffled between these different events. However your family does Christmas or family reunions or birthdays, right? As a kid, it's, come on, it's such and such's birthday, so we going over there for dinner, whatever. And then slowly you take on this role as you come into adulthood of like, that family connection is on you, right? Like that circle of cousins that become the aunts and uncles for your kids is based on the connections that you make and the relationships that you forge and keep together. And that's just something that I'm being more conscious of as I grow older. Like at a certain point, it's not going to be us getting together at auntie's house, right? It's going to be, we're going to be, the aunts and uncles that facilitate that. So do you kind of see that transition happening in your life, and how are you kind of staying connected to those more extended family members?
So I do see that. I do see that change of baton a bit, and it is something to point out. I think that at different phases in our lives that we get given new responsibilities. My father once said to me, which was a very interesting quote. He said, Zwe, you never there's never one clear moment where where the child becomes the parent to the parent. He said there's not one defining moment that makes that happen, but when that switch has been done, it's undeniable, and I think as we grow older and accumulate more responsibilities, that's becoming a lot more true. You're finding yourself almost parenting your parents a little bit, and then realizing you are them.
Yeah, word.
And then realizing you are them. But for sure, that act of being able to say, like, my chosen family or my efforts to my family is what's going to make my family. So how I respond to it is what's going to be able to make it. And it's cool to be able to have you guys all over the world. Now we have Islam. We've got this international network of people, which is why I'm saying we got to keep congregating and celebrating. Try by all means to get together, break bread.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying, and that's what I'm trying to keep tabs on, is like the different ways and opportunities for us to congregate. So like expanding that list from like birthdays and Christmas and holidays and stuff like that to like, and it's even more interesting too when you have different people and different preferences. Like I have people in my life that are like, yo, can we congregate not around alcohol? Yo, can we congregate not around food? I'm on a very strict diet, you know what I mean? Like, so there's sports and the World Cup is going on right now. Like basketball season is in full swing, so that's a good one for me and some of my homies. But I think that's another reason why people get so like hype and really want things like Game of Thrones, or what were you gonna say?
Super Bowl.
Super Bowl, right? I was going even like the thing that competes with the Super Bowl on some Sunday nights, right? Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. It's dope when those things are dope because people can come together and have conversations around them. There's an excuse for some of that connection. And so I'm just slowly collecting more of those.
We got to accept as people that we're communal creatures. We are communal creatures. They saying the only thing that stops you from hitting the floor once you're born is other hands. Woo! Colon deluge.
My bag.
Can we add that in? But that's a dope line, right? The only thing that stops you. She said it in a more. I'm making it user friendly right now, But the only thing that stops you from hitting the floor once you're born are other hands. So we come into this world with other hands. Following on top of that, she says even for you to be in the ground, it has to be done by other hands when you die. So from the time you come to the time you go in, it's other hands that are facilitating that process, man. And so I do want us to appreciate that we're communal creatures. It's okay.
You dropping big knowledge on us today.
Episode 100.
You feel me? But I that really resonates with me, and even that quote got me thinking about some of those hands. You know what I mean? And how these are opportunities for us to come together, but also like with our elders and with that group that is passing the baton, to be intentional about learning from them. You know what I mean? Learning about our history through them, what they've experienced. I noticed that when, we were kicking it with the fam, you were asking my folks, how they met, type stuff. Like, and those are important questions, right? For us to know, for us to be able to tell our kids those stories, but also to kind of break that human barrier with your parents and really start to share, on a mutually respectful level that develops, I think, after all of their energy is devoted to keeping you, safe and on the straight and narrow or whatever.
You know what I think a part of it is?
What's that?
Is that we're getting to the age where we can remember our parents at that age. So the age that my mom at 30, I can remember that. I can remember that. So I have now a bit more of a relationship, or maybe I might not be able to remember my mother at 50, but the first stages of when I was able to conceptualize that she's an old woman or whatever, I'm getting to that age now. So now I can ask those questions to say, hey, like, and see that human in it and that person in it. And it's not just, I don't think one's parents, it's anybody's parents. It's just that they're all people.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting, especially I think the cultures we come from have a lot of respect for elders. And so just kind of crossing that threshold that maintains the respect, but still allows for some keep it real. You know what I mean?
So,
Those are important things to learn about our parents, like how human they are. But it's also important to learn like I got mad recipes, right? I have mad aspects of our culture that I need to, make sure are passed down. I have one particular aunt. Shout out to Auntie you, and she's just like her food is just like it connects us so much to St. Kitts, like the place that my dad's side of the family is from, and if once she makes incredible sawfish, right? She's the one that's hooking up the plantains, correct. You
Plantains.
know what I'm
That's how it's
saying?
pronounced.
And so, and so, yeah, like it's how can we show her appreciation and also like allow her to pass on what she knows so that can live on and so that my kids and their kids, even if they don't get to meet, know of Auntie Yuli, you know what I'm saying, who hooked up the sawfish.
And what we have here, man, is a family. It really is a family. And episode 100 is going to be about celebrating that family. Everybody that's listening, that's tuning in, is family. We appreciate them. And I think one of the things that we keep saying is we want to keep being able to congregate. So that's an open invitation. We're constantly at different places. You're about to be in the UK for a while. I'm going to be in the UK. I'm going to be in South Africa, whatever the case is. There's so much opportunity for all of us to be able to connect, be a family, share information, and all that. So again, man, 100 episodes in, we're still out here talking about thank you, and we're appreciative. Like it's such a blessing to be able to do this. Truly.
Go on, big up yourself.
One big up yourself. I think we got more content for Stumble Apart, man. Can I ask that we get an image of what we're about to speak about next so that I can describe it as we all see it as opposed to me describing it how it was told to me? Because this next segment is definitely it's been nasty. The
Yeah.
fashion world is at it again.
Oh no.
But like at this point, we can almost expect these fashion brands to be able to do something like this on schedule. It's almost timely. When it's time to move units, there's an outrage that happens.
And I'm glad you put it like that. Because when some um, outrageous, let's say, happens, I think to weed through all the noise and to get to like what is the pattern of what's happening right now, is kind of where we aim to get at things. We just try to make sense of the headlines, right? And I think we do a good job of like kind of dismissing things when it's all fluff and it's all nonsense. But when there's something to learn or gain from a conversation, that's kind of when we take it on. And
Could I ask you
Yeah.
to describe to our producer what it is we want to see a picture of?
I see. I'm glad you said it like that because I don't want to see a picture of nothing. You dig me? And honestly, like I don't even know if, even in the context of this conversation, if proliferating the picture is like even necessary.
Let's fill the people in what we're talking about.
Cool. Take our word for it. Balenciaga, as part of their line of clothing, put out some pictures of young children in their clothing line and trying to be edgy. They had these images of the kids that were part of this marketing campaign, had the kids dressed up. I don't know. Okay. The kids were dressed up provocatively and they had stuffed animals that were dressed even more provocatively.
Now, we have said stuffed animal on the screen here. We're just going to take a quick break. Is this said stuffed animal that you're referring to?
I think that is the stuffed animal. And I think that speaks for itself. That is a BDSM bear. That is a Balenciaga bondage bear. And that should not be available at any stores near you. All right? It's nasty.
Nasty.
Nasty, right?
Nasty.
There's no reason we even have to explain why to have a BDSM teddy bear along with children that are of teddy bear age.
But like, hold on, bro. Let's look. We're professional. I appreciate this professional environment that we've created.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we can tackle very serious things in different angles.
Indeed.
All that aside, what do you think they were thinking?
I'm glad you asked. I'm glad you asked. Because the only explanation that I can come up with for this is that they knew
Yeah.
they were going to get the response of outrage, and that was part of the plan. It's a part of a new thing,
Yeah.
or maybe not so new thing, but a newly named thing called outrage marketing.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea is that we're going to do something nasty or crazy or that we know will get people fired up. And the gamble is that the buzz that's generated will outweigh the backlash.
I remember when H&M did Coolest Monkey in the Jungle.
Bruh.
I remember when it was H&M. H&M did Coolest Monkey in the Jungle. There was Gucci did the Noose.
Yep. Good memory.
It is, but and it's unfortunate because I love fashion, you know. So from a creative standpoint, you wonder at what point do you sacrifice your creativity to be so pathetic, in my opinion.
Well, I think I'm glad you framed it that way, because I think the argument from somebody who puts something like this out from a creative perspective is that all publicity is good publicity.
That's not a creative thought, though. That's not a creative thought. That is a seller's thought. That's not a creative thought, because a creative thought is, how do I create the best version of what it is I'm trying to portray? And if that is what you're trying to portray, that's not even a good way to be able to do it, is my thing. Look, I don't know how exactly a well-portrayed BDSM bear is supposed to look like. However, how they did it with this marketing is a bit flawed. And I think the insensitivity of it is what is repelling about it. It really is a bit tasteless. So it's like you almost this is where the power of the dollar comes into play. If it's all about where do we allocate our capital to. Something interesting is that people of color particularly spend more on luxury brands as a per as a comparable size group of people. We spend a lot of money on these products. When the PPEs came in, there were lines around some of these stores, right? So at what point do we realize that if we move our capital away from these places, they'll be more incentivized to behave?
I think it's hard for people to feel collectively like boycotting something like that, right? Like, it didn't happen with the H&M thing. It didn't happen with Gucci. There was talk about it, but I think, all right, so here's the thing, right? Let me not say people don't have the energy to boycott things. I think people without a intentional organizing body, people as collectives find it very difficult to sustain any organized movement.
That's fair.
So I think even if for the week or two after Gucci has a new hoodie, right, people are off Gucci, I think there's a clock, there's a ticking clock, and that's what these companies are betting against, right? I'll give you a dope example. Bloomingdale's. You ever heard of Bloomingdale's?
No.
Big department store. Think Macy's, JCPenney's type thing, right? Blurred Lines. Remember that song?
Pharrell.
And Robin Thicke, right? That was happening. This was like 2017. So that song comes out around the same time Bill Cosby is getting into trouble. Hannibal Buress's comments on Bill Cosby have sparked a and as part of the collective Me Too movement, women's safety is on a lot of people's minds, right? In the fall, Bloomingdale puts out an ad it's a woman kind of clearly having a lot of fun and a man kind of in a suit giving her side eye, and the ad says, slip something in your partner's eggnog without them knowing, right? Yeah, at Bloomingdale's, right?
What?
So it's could be plausible deniability, right? Like, oh, they just meant a little spike the eggnog, right? You know what I mean? Like a little alcohol in that, but in the context, it was clearly more than that, right? They were, and the guy in the ad looks just like Robin Thicke. That's why I brought up Blurred Lines.
I was wondering where Pharrell came in this. I was like, did Pharrell produce the music on that?
No, they took.
Were they harmonizing?
They got a Robin Thicke lookalike to be the dude that's kind of looking side at the girl, right?
Oh, if I'm Robin Thicke, I'm suing.
Well, Robin Thicke was busy getting some Blurred Lines. So it was
He
brilliant.
had his hands full. He couldn't defend himself. Yo, let's defend Robin Thicke. Yo, get Robin Thicke out of that poster. That's not cool.
Hey, bro, I don't know if let's defend Robin Thicke is where we want to go with it, but but the reaction was, of course, people were upset. How could you possibly be, putting out this type of advertising? It's insensitive. It's predatory. All this. The fall rolls into the winter. Bloomingdale's has a spike in sales and a spike in online purchases, and the idea is that by the time it was full shopping season, people didn't remember what had actually happened, but they just remembered Bloomingdale's. Got to shop this season. Let me hit up, you know what I'm saying, Bloomingdale's.
So it kind of works then, the outrage marketing.
It does, yeah.
We just have to realize we have so much collective power to change the way that companies organize. And if I'm being a bit honest, given the climate now and what we've seen from how brands respond to being offended, especially in the fashion industry, we just seen justifiably, right? Kanye getting stripped in a very violent manner. We've spoken about how we feel about the content of what was said, and we don't agree with it in any manner. However, it is watching in a ring someone get hit in a certain manner, and then when something offensive is done to another group of people, there isn't the same repercussion, right? So it's almost it's just very interesting to watch the different ways that we respond, how we respond to being offended as corporate America and as people. It's just a very interesting thing to watch.
It is, and I think based on what you brought up earlier and how difficult it is for people to sustain that collective movement or that collective boycott, I think that's exactly what it's about. It's determining what is an individual example of something messed up and what is a pattern of something that's developing to manipulate people in the way that they purchase, in the way that they think. And so I'm not saying y'all gotta never wear Balenciaga again. I'm just saying, know that this is a tactic, know that your emotions are being manipulated, and like my brother said, know that your dollar has power. So where you decide to put it, and how whether you support companies that use these tactics will determine how frequently we're subject to this type of thing.
As people, we're collectively are ignorant of we're ignorant to our collective bargaining power.
Yeah.
As consumers, that doesn't ring any more true than the Black community here in the U.S. who pump $1 trillion of capital into the economy every year, $1 trillion of capital into the economy every year, yet fail to realize that collectively making that choice. So let me not say fail to realize, because I'm sure we've all realized it, but we have yet to effectively be able to move our purchasing capital in ways that are exclusively beneficial to our communities. Mm-hmm. So, and that is not that's not just reserved for the Black community of the U.S. There's many other communities that do that. And one of the things that I feel when we don't feel free to speak about each other's communities in a way of understanding, mm-hmm. we lose a lot of value in what we can learn from those communities. In Chinese communities, do you know that $1 will pass 12 hands within that community before it exits?
Yeah.
That number is 4 in the Black community.
Mm-hmm. If that.
Depending
on the community, yeah.
Depending on the community, if that. So there's a lot to learn there. There's a lot to replicate. There's a lot to study. And those are the things that I hope we can get to a place where conversation is so much easier for us to have, so we can educate the miseducated. I don't know, maybe discipline those that are hurting others, and then learn and grow.
Yeah. I think what we have to learn how to do as people, and I'm gonna be saying this for the next 100 episodes, so it, I'm marking it now, is to learn how to de-escalate, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think some of the conversations that you're talking about between these different communities, one of the prerequisites for some of those conversations is a conversation about harm that's been done, right? A conversation about opportunities that have been granted to some groups that aren't granted to other groups. A conversation about some of the reasons structurally why some people have been able to thrive in some of the very same neighborhoods and own businesses in some of the very same neighborhoods where other people struggle. And I think where de-escalation comes in is we have to be able to approach those conversations with a openness to the truth and our histories, our shared histories, and to be able to keep in mind that what we want is progress, that it's not a zero-sum game, right? I think the fear when a lot of communities that are thought of as separate come together is that the more that one community gives up, is that it's necessary for one community to give something up for the other community to gain. And I think being able to have conversations about our history and being able to break down that binary of zero sum game will help us get to the point where we can borrow from each other without accusations of appropriation, and can root for each other without fear that another interest group's winning means that I'm being ignored or falling down the ladder.
Whew. Oh, you preaching out, brother.
Hey, bro, I'm trying to keep up with you, bro.
Oh, come on now.
You know what I'm saying?
Listen, and how we keep up with everybody else, and thank you to Mr. Gila, my pops for that, for the comments over there, man. Oh, so much love today.
Word.
So much love, man. We're giving love, we're feeling love. I love that. We got a new segment that we're introducing that we've done for the 99th episode that we got to the 100th.
Let's get it.
I don't think we have a transition for it. This is that transition.
Quick hits.
Quick hits. Let's get it, man. You know, quick hits is where our producer, Masan behind the boards, shares us with questions that we answer live. We don't know what these questions are. We don't know what's being asked. Same thing can go out to the people that are watching the show right now, man. This is where we get to interact with y'all. Live questions, quick hits, no transition.
Yeah, hot. Come out shooting hot. Take this one, brother. Is the crypto ecosystem a Ponzi scheme?
What do you think? Because I've been studying this very intimately for a long time, so I'd love to hear your thoughts about it. As I would think, the educated average mass.
I like that. I like that. That might even be generous in the crypto space. You know what I'm saying? I would say my general understanding is that crypto is a very cool idea for an alternative type of currency, and how lucrative it was and how much people were able to take advantage of it very heavily depended on their resources at the time they found out about it, and their existing technological savvy know-how or ability to consult somebody with some, which doesn't make for a totally even playing field. And I think that along the way, the hype around it and the people's inability, or not inability, but incomplete understanding of it, has made a lot of people lose a lot of money as a part of it. But I don't think it's started out and was organized as a Ponzi scheme, is my understanding.
So yeah, that's correct, right? A Ponzi scheme is one where you have a money that gets taken in with the intention of paying people out who have put money in. So I give you money, I promise I'm going to give it back to you. I've already promised you, I pay you that. I get somebody else, and then you have that going like that. Crypto is not that, or the cryptocurrency is not that. It is not it's not a Ponzi scheme in that way. However, because it is a new currency, and the lack of regulation specifically around how tokens are produced, allows for that room of Ponzi scheming to be able to happen. And I think what we're referring to specifically is the FTX, the implosion of FTX, where there was about $32 billion that was lost. FTX was a company that we studied very deeply. We looked at their model. We understood that they had to register their financial service providers licenses in the Barbados because those laws weren't because over here in the U.S. they couldn't do it. There was a lot that we studied about that. So at its initial, it didn't look dubious, and I think a lot of people would attest to that. But what was unknown at the time was how the lack of regulation was being abused, and how that happened is that they built into that system a way to funnel money out of the escrow accounts. So is crypto dead? No. Sensationalism, though. When crime happens, a big crime, it's terrible, yes. But there is good news for crypto. And that good news for crypto is that Bitcoin, after COVID, after pandemic, after crazy market activity, fell to its lowest levels in 2 years. So if you've been holding Bitcoin since 2008, 2009, you are still in the green. So what we need to understand is that there's no one magic bullet that you can invest in to get people rich. That's going to make you rich. That does not happen in the stock markets in that way. It rarely happens. And when it does happen, if you have the wherewithal to pull your money out while you're at a high, congratulations. But most people don't, because how you win is diversified portfolio. All to say that good news is for the people that have been holding it for a long time, you'll win. And that's the same thing even if you buy it now. If you hold it for long enough time, you'll probably get in the green because it's a currency, it's applicable. It's unsexy and it's cool and it's not cool. And all those
And they sold it to us as sexy.
That's the problem. So that's the answer. Nope, not a Ponzi scheme.
Should the MLB umpires really be wearing advertisements? Yo,
that's all you, buddy.
This is a great question. Yo, Chicago fact, right? Real quick, related. The Chicago White Sox were the first sports team to wear the players' names on the back of the jerseys, right? So we've been on this thing for a long time.
I didn't know this about Chicago.
As a Chicagoan, I feel like an authority as to what should be on jerseys and what should not, right? We also produced Jordan 23. You know what I'm saying? we big, most sold jersey in the world. What you want from me?
So Chicagoans are the authorities on jerseys?
No doubt.
Okay, you heard it here first.
It was really cool and it was really interesting. Well, not cool, but it was really interesting as somebody who, like, kind of through our friendship and the expanding of my horizons in college, started paying more attention to FIFA and they've had advertisements on jerseys from time. They got to the bag a while ago, and it's slowly trickled into basketball as of the last few years. Now we have jerseys on our stuff, and I think it does take away a little bit from what those jerseys represent, right? I think of the old school 90s jerseys with Jordan, and the fact that there isn't a Motorola logo on there is dope because it purely just represents the game. Now that's a very... I'm leaving a lot of money on the table for nostalgia and for, feelings. But I think sports should be a place where we kind of are all able to get away from a lot of the other rat race aspects of life. Even though it is, a big part of this commercial machine. As viewers, if it can do anything for us, it should give us a break from that. So I think umpires, players, all of that, having advertisements on, it's kind of a boo for me. It's a no for me, dog.
It's a no. You heard it. To know you heard it. I think if I produce things, we got space for one more question. I don't know how many we have. How many we got for us?
Hey man, I trust them. Well, this all you, big dog.
SA police investigate white woman calling for ban on black people instead of dogs.
Tailor-made, custom.
I believe.
Wait, tell us how this is not racist.
Dude, don't do that to me. That sentence gets crazier by the word. crazier by the word is how that sentence goes. And say, look, this is man, white people love their dogs in South Africa. Dog is crazy. It's absolutely nuts. That market is booming, man. That's absurd. That's absolutely absurd, undoubtedly racist, and makes sense.
It makes sense.
No, I mean, like, I do I believe that from my country? Yes, I do 100% believe that that happens in my country.
I think that's what's important to take away from it. These are important bubble pop moments of being like, yo, we move in a circle of people that care very much about community, that care very much about equity, that care much about caring for each other. And it's a reminder that a lot of people aren't on the same page. A lot of people think very differently. A lot of people still have a lot of hate in their heart. A lot of people, carry views that are actively, aggressively,
So
show aggressive toward a certain group of people. And so it's just a reminder that like people still think like this. If you feel this, if you encounter racism out in the wild, you're not crazy. You know what I'm saying? You didn't step through a time warp. People still feel like this. That's the main takeaway from me.
it is, and maybe I'm very dismissive of it because you know how I deal with that from a personal perspective, right? We were together in South Africa when we had a situation where we were at a hotel, and at that hotel there was a
We
page.
were accosted.
Is that the word? Is that how?
Yes.
What does accosted mean, brother?
Confronted in an aggressive and inappropriate manner.
Oh, we were 100% accosted.
Yeah.
I might have been wearing Lacoste.
Dang.
Come on, episode 100, son. So we're in South Africa. We were taking a trip to we're on the garden routes all the way down to Cape Town. It was great. And we stopped
Light flex.
Come on, baby, travel with your friends. And then we stopped at a hotel. And we have to describe it in the race term because it was a racial interaction. A white guy who's living in the hotel with us, he walks by and he says something. He said something to the effect of "you people," whatever. You guys didn't hear. You heard it and could feel that there was a bit of energy, but you didn't.
Racism comes in its own colors and patinas, in different places and spaces. You know what I'm saying? And I think being from that space, you were very quickly able to recognize what bruh meant by his tone. Well, I think, sensed the hostility, but I don't think we knew, like you knew, what he was getting at.
And so I confronted him. I stepped up to him and I confronted him. And that's not something that, and this is something to watch out for, right? Because we live in a day now where people are getting killed for very little. There's so much that people are losing their lives over. So I guess my question is, as someone who I confront that in my country, and anyway, if I'm seeing somebody that's getting wrong done to them, my inclination is to step towards that and to be able to not be a hero, but to lend some assistance.
Mm-hmm.
How do you go about that in this day and age? Like if I heard this lady say this to me, I'd have to say something.
I think it's about trying to assess a situation for whether or not it's a teachable moment. So being able to look at a situation and go, based on this person's behavior, do I think I can confront them without escalating the situation? And do I have the bandwidth, the energy, and do I feel like it, right? Do I feel like articulating whatever it might take to help this person, or at least the people around me, see how they were wrong and feel protected for the people around me, right? In a situation in a society that's getting increasingly randomly violent, I think it's very important to double check that assessment, before you just jump out there and react. But I think there is value. There was value in that situation for the way that you addressed it for us. And I think in a lot of ways it can be therapeutic for us to see and experience racism and to be able to confront it, especially when it's interpersonal, when it's like very blatant and it contains words like black people versus dogs. We did confront a lot of structural racism, a lot of racism that's harder to define and pinpoint. And so I think in some ways it can feel liberating to address racism when it's clear and blatant and when we have some control over how much space it takes up. But as always, be cautious and, remember that you don't owe it to anybody to confront that. But if it's a teachable moment and you have the bandwidth, I think that's something to think about.
100%. And what I said to the guy when I approached him for clarity, I said, hey man, you don't, and I want to explain it because I don't want it to seem like a promotion of violence or hot-headedness, but I wanted to be a teachable moment. So I said, hey man, listen, when you say the words "you people," even if you mean it in an innocent manner, it is something that is very offensive to people and something that can trigger people to become violent. So, as you go about the way you engage with people that you don't know, or whatever the case is, or even people you do know, refrain from using that. He didn't take it. It didn't go well. Episode 101 will tell you what happened. Episode one. Yo, man, these people come here for a lot of reasons, but they come here mainly for one, or the one they seem to want the most.
Yeah, want, appreciate, engage with, and so we're happy to bring you that record review. Weeks
I knew it. Go ahead.
without a whack album.
Yeah.
Now we good.
Whack, no whack albums anymore. This year has been good for hip hop. This last 4 or 5 months of hip hop have been great. I'm seeing in the comment section we even have from my brother Owami saying Rich Spirit, Kendrick Lamar, who just dropped the video on the two. We are flooded with dope music.
No doubt.
Dope hip hop.
And I'm glad this one was good.
Let me cross my legs.
Davies, Book of David, you know what I'm saying?
Can't cross my legs.
I hit the chat with it. Hey y'all, Book of David dropping this fire. Let's review it. And you know, we got some hip hop aficionados behind this show, you know. So the response was, if it doth slap. And I was like, dang, we can't give our boy Dave the benefit of the doubt like that. But that was the sentence. It was conditional. And I would say that this joint met that condition. What would you say?
100%.
So here we are reviewing it.
Slappeth.
Yeah.
We've been listening to Davies for a very long time. Davies, we started bumping Davies in 2016. 2015. 2015 is where we started listening to Davies when he came out with the Black Rose mixtape.
Black Rose, there's the one where he's the all black album cover where his hands are crossed too. That's got KD on it. Might be called Hate Me Now.
That's Hate Me Now.
Yeah.
That's Hate Me Now.
Yeah.
Obviously Davies' story is going New York rapper, Science to Nas. Rapping for a long time, Science to Nas has this big blow up story. Many albums later, about 6 albums later, here we are now. Davies occupies a very interesting place in hip hop.
Yeah. Davies is somebody who fit with the class he came out with, I think, and has shown an ability to develop his skills in a way that provides longevity that a lot of those other classmates haven't been able to show. It's New York hip hop. It sounds New York. His voice sounds New York. It's gritty. It's modern boom bap-ish, I would say. Like modern
just boom
production. Boom bap. Yeah.
It's just boom bap.
You know? And so there's always been an approach, I think, toward trying to make what in hip hop can be considered timeless music. I'm thinking of his first label debut, Kari Chanel, and that wasn't aiming for radio. It wasn't aiming for bangers in the club. It was aiming to make a statement in hip hop. And I think for somebody who has the ability to make absolute slaps and different types of storytelling records, I think it's really cool to see somebody in this day and age that's really striving to be amongst the Nas's and the Hoves, but not be of the typical lyrical caliber of a Kendrick or a J. Cole.
I don't even know if you could say that because Davies is a super spitter, and this is where you're gonna hear my bias come out for Davies because I really am a huge fan. I think he's a professional rapper. I think there's some people that learn how to become good at something, and I just think there's some people who have an inclination towards it, and it just comes so easy for them. And I think a lot of criticism against Dave East is maybe that lazy approach to music, given what we know his caliber is being. So I've always found that that's not always the type of music that he makes, but when he is concentrated, Type of Time. That's the definition of a street classic. Type of Time is right up there with Name a Jeezy song. You know what I mean? That fits right there in music that might not have hit Billboard, but everyone was listening to.
Yeah.
Everyone was listening to it. And I think from that point, Dave East has made an intention to get better and be experimental at the same time. And even though it might not have always been well received, if you're paying attention, you'd notice that he's getting better. I did not expect this particular album with DJ Drama on it and with Buddha producing it to come out this way. I'll admit that.
Shout out to Buddha and Grams, man. Went crazy on this tape.
Yeah.
The production.
Throughout this album, you're asking yourself one question. Is the beats better than the raps? And the beats really, really good. But the raps are right there with it.
Yeah. So shout out to them for delivering on this project. Shout out to Drum for the resurgence, for the run that he's on right now. He's everywhere.
Feels like mixtapes.
Yeah. And so that's a great feeling for people that love hip hop, that grew up during the blog era. Like, it's fire. So I feel you on Dave's time in the gym, right? The collab projects, the one with Styles P, Beloved, incredible. He did a collab project with Kerr, who recently signed to Meek Mill. Dave has been trying different types of music. The Pablo and Blanco project,
Dope.
puts out a lot more music than a lot of his peers. And from the Karma series, Karma 1, 2, 3, from I'm blanking on the name, Survival, so many projects and albums. And it's clear when he's experimenting, I think, and it's clear when he's swinging for the fences with a proper album. Book of David is definitely that. Some of the highlights, man. What were some of the highlights for you?
Man, it's one of those albums. I think you need to listen to this. This is driving heavy bass music.
Yeah.
Driving heavy bass hip hop. Because when I first heard a lot of the songs in your earphones, those won't do it justice. We're lucky to have a whole audio experience that we live in that we can listen to that. But some music is made with intention. This is music that people are gonna ride to.
Yes.
This is that riding music.
Yes. God Body, Hands Where I Can See, that Buster Flip, crazy. I love that. As a hip hop head,
I'm not a big fan of that track. I'm not gonna lie, you do like it a bit.
I love that. That track is fire, bro. As somebody who was stepping outside and getting drugged back in the house when that original song was on, that makes me happy. That makes me happy.
I have a hot take.
What's up?
The last song on the album, Heavy. Is Heavy one of the hardest songs to come out this year?
It's one of them. It's one of them for sure. Heavy is great, man. Heavy is great. And for it to be a bonus track, I think just shows you that this man had everything in the tank he needed to put out this album and more. I was pleasantly surprised. There's only one song on the album that I skipped, and I won't even tell you which one it is. 17 tracks. I don't say this, bro. I don't be on. I give the album what I like. I rate it. I tell you what I like about it. I don't be out here just saying there's no skips. I don't believe that happens a lot. One skip on this album, for real. I let this whole thing run.
I'll tell you what. You feel about this album how I felt about the Baby album.
Okay.
You feel about this album when I was like, bro, I haven't been able to stop listening to it. It's top down. It's damn near perfect. You're like, nah, it's really good. Yeah, for sure. Interestingly, over time, that has gone down a bit for me for that album. That album isn't as wow factor to me. I'll be interested to see if that's your journey with this album as well, because it is really good.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, like, and no shade to Lil Baby, but like you said, we've been listening to Davies for 8 years, and some of those first songs that I stumbled across, I still play.
Yeah.
If there's an artist that has come out since around that time and that has had staying power with me, it's Dave East. Type of Time is my alarm every day to wake up. You know what I mean? Like, there's just tracks that I think he makes. I think as a rapper, he makes timeless music, and I think that is the hugest compliment you can give to a street rapper in today's day and age. So, man, hats off to Dave East. This is low key a 5 out of 5 for me. High key 5 out of 5 for me. I don't know what you want from the man. If this, like, I don't know what else. I don't know what a better version of a Dave East album sounds like.
I'd have to give it a 4 out of 5. I'd give it a 4 out of 5. So if we split it down the middle, that'd have to be 4.5 out of 5.
There you go.
Hey man, episode of Hunnit.
How you feel?
Really good, really good. Coming here to this space, man, is so much as it is for me as what we hope it is for y'all watching.
No doubt, man. No doubt. We had a little moment to appreciate some of the people that have been rocking with us. We hope that y'all stick with us, give us feedback, tell us what you would like to see. We got one more episode live, direct, in person. I think we're gonna wrap the year up. So let us know what should be a part of that conversation, music wise, topic wise, or whatever. And then we move into seeing what this show looks like again across distance. You know what I'm saying? But it's been an incredible journey. It's been an honor and a pleasure to have you in the space, to build this space, to build extra segments of the show with you. And so this is family, this is love. I hope that permeates to y'all out there. This door is open, our DMs are open. And shout out to Hassan again, man.
Yeah. Shout out to Hassan holding it down, brother. We appreciate you. My G, and absolutely everybody rocking with us. I'm sure if there's some names that we didn't say thank you to, we'll continue to thank those throughout the week, man. Thank you to, Awami joining in, my dad joining into this thing.
Thank you to all our guests.
The guests, we appreciate each and every one of you. Rolfie hitting me up all the time for it. You know what I mean? I really do appreciate all of that love, man. We appreciate y'all because we know.
Yeah, man, we know. It's the holiday season. Y'all sleepy off of that Thanksgiving that we just had, man. You know what I'm saying? Y'all moving slow all around the world. Well, actually, only on this side of the world as it gets cold. We know it's essays in the building. Y'all just moving into summer, so we know y'all got a lot going on. If y'all tuned in, man, if y'all hearing our voices right now, man, and that's love no matter where you at. And we hope that you take this time to eat something delicious, to hug somebody you love, to join us next week for 101. Like that. Peace. Water. We gone.
Yeah, I get that.